and novelty songs. Spoofs, goofs, and novelty songs. Spoofs, goofs, and novelty songs. Spoofs, goofs, and novelty songs.
I have nothing to say about it. I was so uninterested in it.
Why?
It wasn't for me. Not anymore. I've been taken through in so many fucking classes in film school, forced to watch something I just don't want to,
And now look.
now look at where I am now.
Look at how far you come,
Back
baby.
to school.
Yeah, you guys just love this shit, and I'm like, why are we okay? Superfast was 2 hours long, and then I'm like, okay, cool. Oh, just watch a quick 12-minute short film in addition. Not extra credit. It's part of the assignment. Fuck.
Yeah, why did we have to do...
I was so confused. I wanted.
Why did we do...
So
why wouldn't we do 2 short movies?
I realized that after I had already watched them, I was like, oh, next time we do a short film, let's just do a grab bag. Let's do 3 short films or something like
Yeah,
that.
a variety show for
But
the Patreon.
what I wanted to
You
do,
signed me and Kelly up for extra homework without thinking about
Yes.
it. Yeah.
it was me. I have to watch them too, you know.
Yeah, but
I'm
you're the
into
one.
it.
Well, you're choosing... You're the one picking.
Yeah,
so-
well, you know. I wanted to do the first parody movie I could find, and then do a really recent one as a comparison thing.
Oh, that makes sense.
Kinda.
How far we've come.
Yes, exactly.
Goodness.
Where they started boring,
They came
just
around.
a drone, just a slog to get through, and then it stayed that
It's
for
fantastic.
100
Same.
years.
Fantastic
Same
genre.
thing.
Yeah.
So were we supposed to watch Little Train Robbery first?
It doesn't matter the order, I guess. I did. I watched Little
I
Train
watched
Robbery
Little
like a
Train
month
Robbery,
ago.
and then I watched every spoof movie, and then I
my
watched.
Chronologically.
So you're an expert on this now.
Yeah, yeah. So we don't have to do the podcast anymore.
Oh, thank God. All right.
Welcome to Spoof Scoops and Not. Well, are we going to do a different cold open first?
I'm gonna turn myself.
okay, yeah, let's do a different cold open. Because it'd be funny
That
if our
was
cold
very
open was
behind the curtain.
talking about.
edit any of this shit out anyway.
What do you mean?
Leave everything in.
No, I don't. I really don't.
I mean, we got to
The last episode was just everybody looking at their notes. I feel like a lot of the vamping
In the Phantom of Paradise one, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Or just I'm looking at my notes. Okay. Oh yeah, you know what I mean?
I don't mind leaving that stuff in, but I also will say that Phantom of Paradise episode would have been real short if I had cut all that stuff out.
was true.
It was real short with it.
It was
boring.
already our shortest episode.
You know how I did that preview clip a week
Yeah.
ago? I tried doing it this week, and I could not find an interesting
Whoa.
segment, in my opinion.
Yeah, damn. It's because the movie was too good.
No, legitimately.
Luckily, this week,
This week, we got some
we
shit
do not
to
have a
say.
problem with that.
Yeah.
I think it's that if something is so it's not that it's too good, because we've reviewed good movies too, but it's Phantom of Paradise was also just not a comedy enough movie almost
Yeah.
for us, where it's we can't really talk about bits because it's just well, the story was really good.
and let's be fair, half of this podcast is us being remember that time from the movie we just watched? That was funny. I agree.
Yeah.
And then we just that for half an hour.
Yeah.
Welcome
Hey,
to Spoof Scoops and Novelty Songs.
A podcast about mundane, dumb shit.
Ooh, new
you
edition.
ever if you're ever on iTunes, you're looking for a podcast with 3 white guys, mostly straight,
3,
2.5. 2.5 or
2.5
2 and a half straight men.
a
that's a
podcast.
And you want them to talk about bad movies?
Yeah.
Oh,
Remember
man.
in high school when the funniest
narrows
kid in
it
class, quote unquote funniest kid in class, was he just did Step Brothers quotes?
Yeah, that's us.
that, but a podcast.
Yes.
Yes.
I was one of those kids.
Also,
That's why you're so funny.
My comedy chops were polished in sophomore Spanish
hold on,
class.
Yeah.
Marty. You quoted Step Brothers in high school also. Did we just become best friends? Remember?
I don't get that
That's a quote
reference.
from Step Brothers.
Yeah, I just made our mic stands into bunk mic stands.
Yes.
We have so much room for activities.
So much more room for activities.
Yeah.
I just buried Kelly alive, and I said, "You're dead. Don't come back to life."
This is
remember the-
Marty's never seen Step Brothers.
Remember
Yeah.
the line from the movie.
He only watches awful, terrible, garbage movies
Yeah,
like
oh,
the
you're
ones we're
thinking
about to talk about.
Yeah.
We're watching this week. We're reviewing what 2 films? That's right. We are reviewing
Can we
first.
stop for a second.
Yes, go ahead.
You love announcing things and making it into a question. That's one of your go-tos. I'd just like to point that out. If you look back at the previous episodes, you'll just see that
Hey,
often.
you know what it is though, Scott? I think people like, they like consistent jokes. Like when people are listening to
Yeah, they like the same joke over and over again. And the
Wow.
joke is normally when you say a sentence with a period at the end, you do a downward inflection. But this guy,
I hate to break it to you, buddy. We all repeat ourselves in this show.
never. I'm 100% original.
Marty, did we just become best friends? Crushing it today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As a change of pace, I am going to mention how I don't want to be doing this a lot.
Yep. And how you hate the police.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That I've noticed. I'm like,
his go-to.
does this come up every single episode?
Yeah. As for our well, we all have character archetypes. It's
Yes.
like Full House. Like,
Yes,
yeah.
I'm the
And we're the
nerd.
three dads.
Yes.
I'm Phoebe.
I'm Chandler.
And I'm Uncle Jesse.
This week we were reviewing The Little Train Robbery, which is...
Oh, wait, sorry. Can I do it for you?
Yep, go for
This
it.
week we're doing The Little Train Robbery?
I want to try.
Yeah, and what else are we reviewing?
And super fast?
That's right. Listeners, we are reviewing a parody of the infamous, the iconic,
Is it infamous? I think it's more famous.
the famous silent film, The Great Train
No, I
Robbery.
was talking about Fast and the Furious.
Yeah. Fast and the Furious, famous, Great Train Robbery, infamous.
Infamous.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
So, The Little Train Robbery is considered the first parody movie, as far as I could tell online. I believe it came out in like 1910, which is around the same time as The Great Train Robbery. And both films were directed by the same person, Edwin
Oh my
Porter.
God. It was
Yes.
and that's the thing. He was so down to earth.
I said it would be as if Francis Ford Coppola made Godfather 2 and just made it like super wacky.
Yeah.
Because, by the way, this movie, The Little Train Robbery, is identical to The Great Train Robbery. If you've seen one, you have seen the other movie for the most part.
Yeah. Well, and also, in a way, if you've seen this, you've seen every silent movie.
Yes. It's a 12-minute silent film short, which basically, I'll just
Now,
give you
hold
the
on.
plot.
I need more details. Is there color?
In this one, no, but The Great Train Robbery actually did have color.
Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 colors in the Great Train Robbery.
Wow.
No, they actually painted on frames. So
Yeah,
there are
and they
scenes.
used
oh, okay.
they had a palette of 3 or 4.
It was like
there's
per-
yellow.
CMYK.
Let's name all the colors in the Great Train Robbery. All right, I'll go first. Yellow.
green, I think.
I wouldn't know. I thought it was black and
You
white.
call yourself a film buff.
I think it's
I
purple.
don't
So
call
you would know
myself
there's
that.
purple and red, okay?
You said 3 colors.
I said
Why would
3
they
or
use
4.
purple and
Oh,
red?
okay.
What?
Okay, does the Little Train Robbery, what kind of music is there? Is it like flutes, pianos? Little
It's the
organ?
Benny Hill theme song. We watched an episode of Benny Hill.
I need you to paint a picture for our viewers and take 11 minutes to do
All
it.
right, it's like this. This bit is done.
Perfect.
Yeah. So The Great Train Robbery was originally a movie that was just like a gang of bandits who attack a train, rob it, and then get their comeuppance to get caught by the cops at the end of it. It was a very iconic movie. It was one of the first movies to use like cross-cutting, composite editing. It ended famously with a guy pointing a gun at the crowd and shooting at. He comes out
James
of
Bond.
He comes out of the movie and shoots the crowd. Is how the
Yeah.
movie.
And everybody thought there was a giant man shooting a gun at them.
So this movie decides to do a gang of robbers rob a train, but instead of a big real train, they rob like a toy, like a tour train, like a train you would take when you're at a zoo.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they run away, and they get caught.
There's a bunch of
immediately.
like young ladies in like frilly white dresses.
yeah.
Yes.
And you think that the title is like, it's like they're calling it the Little Train like it's like a condescending, like, oh, nice little train robbery you got there.
Yeah.
No, it's truly a little
They
train.
really rob, and that's it as far as a spoof goes. Although I will say there is 3 times where someone falls down in this movie.
Yeah, that was very funny. I was rolling on the floor like the person on the screen.
That's pretty much it as far as this movie
Aren't we
goes.
done?
No,
Done.
I do
super
have,
fast.
I do have one, I have one thing I want to point out. There's a moment during the train robbery part. So they rob the little train. They run. The bandits run off. The camera starts like panning left as they take, because they run off on the train. They take the train and steal the train as well as the goods of all the people they robbed who were on the train. The camera starts panning, and my thought, I was like, oh my God, are they going to do a thing where the train just circles back around, and the gag is like they're just on like a track, so the bandits just like end up where they started? No,
That would have been very funny.
That would have
Yeah.
been. I was like, oh my god, that would be a crazy bit for like 1910 to do.
Yeah.
No, they didn't do that.
Yeah. Well, it's too bad.
So the reason we did this movie, I wanted to do the first spoof movie ever, and I wanted to compare it to something modern. And this movie, because it's a parody of like one of the most famous early films of all time, I felt like it'd be a good one to do. But clearly, spoof movies weren't ready yet. The audience,
Yeah.
There weren't enough
Spoof movies
fart
was too
jokes.
advanced of a concept for the time.
satire had been around for centuries.
We weren't enlightened like we are today.
Yes.
Like take, the next movie we'll talk about, for example.
Yes.
A
so
more advanced society.
They had color in this one.
Yeah, and sound.
And sound.
I wrote down the
stereo.
To go back to you talking about the score, I wrote the piano score is driving me insane because it's so repetitive. It is legitimately just dun 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 dun, dun the same notes like over and over
Yeah,
again.
the
Yeah.
Cantina theme.
I muted it and turned on Skrillex. So
Yeah, and it actually ruled, and it synced up. If you turn on Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites and watch it, if you start it at the exact same time as the Little Train Robbery,
It's so good, dude.
the drop comes in right when they rob the train. It's so fucking
good.
sick.
Sonny Moore, you did it again.
Okay. So as a parody, I feel
We have to rate this?
Oh yeah, we're rating
stinker?
this. We're rating it. I said it's unfair to judge us too harshly given the time period. So I gave it a 5 out of 10 for the one big gag and for being the first parody film, though obviously parody and satire have been around for a long time. And as a movie, I gave it a 2 out of 10 because I couldn't give it a 1 out of 10 because I gave American Carol a 1 out of 10, and this movie's at least better than that.
You know what I love more than the scores? Hearing the rationale behind them, getting into how that sausage is made.
That's this is the co-title of this movie. This
Co-title?
podcast. Yeah, no, co-title wasn't the problem there. Is how did the sausage get made?
Yeah.
And with spoofs, Kelly.
2 out of 10. 2 out of 10. Scott?
Ready for this? I give it a out of. Get it? Isn't that
Oh,
very
'cause
fu-
it's silent.
Yeah, isn't that very funny? I give it an incomplete out of 10.
Yeah.
This doesn't register.
I think that's fair.
yeah.
They weren't ready. They weren't ready to make these yet. They're just there wasn't enough stuff to make fun of in film yet.
Yeah, there weren't movies.
weren't
Again,
movies.
the fact that the guy had to make a spoof of his own movie tells
Yes.
you there isn't
Right.
really a zeitgeist to go off of.
Right.
There isn't like. Plus, what would you make fun of in like the 1910s? Like, when you have fucking the measles and like, you know what I mean? Like,
Wait, it's what the Rachel Brosnahan from Marvelous Miss Maisel doing a spoof movie.
Yeah. They just do like, hey, we should try to ban alcohol once. Maybe like 10 years from
10
now.
years from now.
Let's ban the sale of alcohol. Yeah. We just got to try it one time.
yeah.
See how it goes.
Audience like boo.
yeah. But then
Yeah.
they did it. All thanks to this one short film.
And nothing ever came of it. Alcohol's been outlawed ever since.
Yeah, I won't touch the stuff.
No, I won't. But.
Superfast.
And now we're going to review a recent spoof movie called Superfast.
Yeah, now to the real meat of the episode.
Yes.
This is.
I'll
I'll let you guys.
Boy.
I'll let you guys open it up and I'll introduce it.
Hold
This,
on. My notes are
2015.
loading. My notes are loading. Hold on. Just hold on. It's going to take a while. There's a lot of notes.
Edit point, Marty. Edit point here.
This is so irritating. It's a 2015 action comedy by Jason Freeberg and Aaron Seltzer. This is our first movie of theirs.
Yeah, stick to the water, Seltzer.
Now that's a spoof I can get into.
I'm done. I retire. I can't top that. This is our first movie reviewing that these guys have directed. They've obviously made tons of stuff, and I wrote it down in order. They made Date Movie, Epic Movie, Meet the Spartans, all three of which were actually like successful hits.
I'll
ahead.
let you finish.
No,
I have a
okay.
question, though.
Disaster Movie, Vampires Suck, The Starving Games, which was their cheapest movie, Best Night Ever, which they made with Blumhouse, which I don't know if it's like a parody of found footage movies, and then Superfast.
So are these guys have the blank movie market?
Yeah, so they're not.
Are
The
they
only ones.
related in any way to Scary Movie?
They were writers on Scary Movie,
Gotcha.
and they also were writers on Spy Hard, which was came out of the Zucker brother kind of group,
Yeah.
which was also co-written by our improv teacher.
So these are
What?
these are like sort of the fail sons of the spoof world. Like,
But they also-
these are the Hunter Bidens and
What did
Donald Trump
What did he
Jr.'s
co-write?
of the.
Sorry.
Two things. One, I'll say, in terms of quality, yes, but they were really successful. Their first few movies were like hits. Like they did actually make a lot of money.
Never mind. They're good.
And because these movies are so cheaply made, like the budgets are so low on these movies that like I feel like they just make a killing no matter what, except for Superfast, which we will talk about. And
Dick Chudnow.
Richard Chudnow wrote Spy Hard. He was one of the co-writers of that.
Okay.
He also, I think, is uncredited as a writer on Airplane and the other.
And Kentucky Fried Movie.
And,
You
yeah.
mentioned that in class. He
Yep.
name dropped that one.
Yep, because he obviously grew up with those guys.
Coming soon
Shorewood.
to a Spoof Scoofs podcast near you, Kentucky Fried Movie.
Probably not.
This is why we're qualified to talk about this stuff.
because we were taught by a guy who wrote one movie.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right.
so
should we dive in, or you got some more?
I got
groundwork?
a little bit more. These guys, so they've obviously been around for a while. Then they wrote some of the scary movies. I think they actually wrote like the first. I think they wrote like almost all of them. Actually, the Wayans brothers like dropped off of those movies at one point, and these guys were just riding high on those movies. This did not have
Marty, edit point here. We're gonna. Can you hold the phone, like, because you keep?
I keep looking down.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to keep all that in. This does not have a rating on Rotten Tomatoes because they did not get enough reviews submitted by critics. However, one audience review said the directing duo behind this movie have a similar theme running through all of their work, that being it's all crap. They go on, but that person also gave the movie 2.5 stars.
Why?
I would like to
don't
see a
the
1-star movie
director-
for this guy.
They don't like the directors, but they keep seeing. They've seen most of their movies.
Yeah.
What is that? Critics,
This
that
guy,
audience person.
This is like a masochistic.
Is he doing it for his podcast? Because that's the only thing.
What kind of person would watch this just to review it? I mean, well, who would subject themselves to that?
Some kind of sadomasochistic psychopath.
Yeah.
us?
So I have one more thing, but I'll save it for later. And so I wrote, okay, now I'll start watching the movie because I wrote like a page of notes before
Oh
I
my
even
god!
started watching.
Okay, can I give my first note? Because this actually, because
for it.
sometimes we got a little group chat going, and we'll do a little bit of a play-by-play as we're watching the movies. And I believe, well, I'll just say my first note is Marty is probably laughing at this movie, and you did say this is not bad up until, and you're like, okay, now they got to the dance scene, which by the way is like 3 minutes into the movie.
The dance scene is like 20 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, it's pretty far.
Oh
into
no,
the
wait,
movie.
I'm remembering. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
The movie.
So you made it 20 minutes in before you're like, oh, this kind of sucks.
I mean, no, I knew it was bad, but I at least was like, so the beginning scene of this movie is very long. It's basically just the first act of the first Fast and the Furious movie. And they actually do more of a parody than I've ever seen in any of their other movies. Their other movies are always...
It does, to their credit, and this is why I'll be giving them a 10 out of 10. They do stick very closely to the plot of
legitimately.
Fast and the
Yeah.
Furious. Yeah.
It's basically, the movie is basically a parody of the first Fast and the Furious movie and the fifth one. And nothing else in between. They don't really... They sort of
They
reference some of the other
mention
ones.
they mention them. But
Well, the
that's it.
fifth one is kind of where there's like a big like pivot in the
It's where it starts to-
style, right? Like,
It becomes more silly and more of like a parody of itself. kind
yeah,
of.
gotcha.
This movie... What was I going to
And
say?
the fifth one is where the Rock character gets introduced.
Correct.
To, right?
And it's where they break the safe
I've only
out.
seen the first one.
Oh, okay.
But I-
boxes. They carry boxes behind their convoy of vehicles.
Yes.
Yeah.
The safe in Brazil. Isn't it in Brazil?
It's in Brazil, yeah.
Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah, it's the police's biggest weakness was boxes.
Kelly is a huge fan of these movies,
taking
by the
notes.
way.
I love Fast and the Furious. I have a different opinion than Marty. I don't think they're like goofing on themselves. I think when they make these movies, they legitimately are like, this is badass.
I'm not saying they're like going so far as like making fun of themselves. I just mean they're doing it like a little sillier. Like they're playing it
Yeah.
up a little bit more than they normally would.
That's like them writing jokes into Marvel movies and being like, see, they're...
I don't think so.
I don't
I
know.
think those movies they do.
I
don't know.
literally think they're making them like it's meatheads behind it, mostly. Anyways,
Yeah, but
this is for the Patreon.
This is a different, because I was gonna say like Steven Seagal movies are usually kind of tongue in cheek, but like they're also made by meatheads, quote unquote.
Anyways,
Hey, meatheads can be funny, okay?
yeah, we got a lot of meatheads listening. Whose phone's going off?
Not me.
Not me.
It might be me.
It's definitely you because you don't have an iPhone. That's not an iPhone sound.
That was it Excuse me, I have a condition. All right, let's. I also said Christian Bale and Jeff Bezos really took a risk being in this movie because the main guy, like from like the nose up, sort of looks like Christian Bale,
And the other guy does look like Jeff Bezos.
Oh, and I also said, okay, here's one joke I genuinely did think is funny is that they called the Vin Diesel guy Vin Sorrento, like Kia Sorrento. That's pretty funny. Yeah.
I
Like every 99th joke in
That's
this
the
movie
thing
is
is
kind
like
of
they
funny.
just
I agree.
swing and miss, and then there's like one that hits every now and then for me.
They're like that disgusting, like pickup artist mentality. Of like, hey, every
Yeah.
you swing. If you make 1 in 100, that's still a home run, baby.
I'm about to compliment you. That's actually a fantastic comparison because this movie is like legitimately so hateful and terrible, but there are a couple funny jokes in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it is mostly hateful and terrible. There are so many homophobic jokes.
Oh, yeah.
like throughout. Like two of the characters. The first
Speaking
guy.
of the okay, all right, I'll let you finish. Keep going.
The first guy our Paul Walker Brian character that we meet, he drives up in a rainbow themed car.
Now that is the opposite of the tone that has been set in the previous shots.
Which I also want to say, why do they even need to do that? The whole gag with him from then on is that he doesn't know how to drive, which is a great gag for that because that was kind of like what was funny about the first Fast and the Furious movies
he
was
didn't
that
know. He was like he was training.
and he was suddenly really good at driving in those movies too, and they did that in this movie too. And I was like, that's something to make fun of. But why is it he's also driving the rainbow
Well, because
car?
isn't it funny? Again, I've said this in previous episodes. I'll say it to the end. Number one rule of comedy: opposites.
Yes.
always hilarious.
Yes.
Now we've seen the guys in this. They're tough. They're tough guys, and then here he comes in with a fruity little unicorn. I mean, come on, that's the opposite.
Get this guy out of here?
And then Michelle Rodriguez is like the parody of her is just like, oh, she's like badass, so she must be a lesbian.
Right.
What?
Which
She's
is
a little
also-
boyish, so
and
she's
it's such
likes
the
women.
men's version of a lesbian where she's like, yeah, nice ass.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? There's like no subtlety at
Where it's-
all.
it's just
and they
constantly-
literally do the joke of where she's like, ooh, that's a nice ass. And then Vin Diesel's like, what? And she's like, I said, shh, kick some ass.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
know.
That joke is that's literally, they said that in the Little Train Robbery. They did the same joke.
It was weird when it was that silent movie had one line of dialogue, which was a woman saying "nice ass."
and then correcting herself when asked
Saying,
by
No,
her husband.
schmass. But for it's literally like a man's version of a, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like she says stuff like no lesbian would ever say like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like, it's just
yeah,
bad writing.
It's horrific. They do cast well. I will say this: the Vin Diesel's like best friend in this movie does look exactly
Yeah.
like the guy who plays his best
Yeah.
friend in the first Fast and
I
the
actually
Furious.
really
oh
like
yeah, the
bit.
beard man.
Yes.
Yeah.
The best friends bit was pretty funny to me of him being
Yeah.
Vin Diesel immediately being like, no, I like this guy now.
Yes, which again is identical to that first movie,
Yeah.
but that is like actually it's something they actually parodied that well in this movie. I was
Yeah.
like, they're actually. It seems like they get what
They
they're
hit
doing,
some
and-
notes for me.
Yeah.
And him like trusting him just for no reason. Like
Yeah.
like openly admitting to trusting.
this
him for
guy's
no
my
reason.
brother now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do a lot of that where they're like constantly kind of referencing how stupid the plot is, which like there's always a fine line of like you can do that in a parody movie and get away with it. In this movie though, there's literally a moment where they say, you know, like in the Fast and the Furious movies, there's always we'll get to
They do that a bunch.
Yeah, which is
There's
like,
always racial stereotypes.
Yes.
And every time that they do a meta joke like that, you can tell that they're all like patting themselves
Yes.
on the back so fucking
it's
hard. Which again, we've seen that joke too of being like pointing to the fact that this is a movie, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Let's break. Oh, you broke the fourth wall in 2015.
Yes.
Congratulations.
But there's a way to do it. There's like the Mel Brooks way in High Anxiety where you do a gag on the camera work and
There's like there's an
a way-
extra joke to it. There's like a joke
yes.
that breaks the fourth wall rather than just turning
Breaking
to
the
the camera
fourth
and being
wall.
like, "Isn't it crazy that this is a movie?"
Yeah.
Like that's not a joke.
No, it's not a
Yeah.
joke. It's not. And also, like, it's just showing such distrust in your audience. Like, you're making a Fast and the Furious parody. Yeah, the audience knows that. Like, doing a comment on that is like nothing.
Well,
We
to be
get
fair,
it.
no, this movie is like by idiots for idiots, so maybe they
Yeah.
wouldn't pick
And
up
we
on that.
are idiots.
Yeah.
So-
We're idiots for still watching it. Yeah,
know.
if you watch this movie, you're an idiot. Sorry,
I mean, it was free, so
we're geniuses.
yes. 2 words, spa day, was a line in this movie.
Oh, that's the other joke that they do over and
Yes.
over again, and you can tell they're patting themselves on the back for is like, I think. Hold on, let me see if I can.
It's the kind of like
Okay, gangsters being hyper specific about everyday mundane or like not tough stuff is a running theme.
and just like what a thumbs down, like so old. At
Isn't
this
it
point.
funny that they know about like exfoliating
Yeah.
or whatever?
It's like-
so they're doing the opposite joke again over and over.
I always do love that. It's like, wait, are like gangsters in movies supposed to be like out of time or something? When movies parody this kind of stuff, I'm just like, well, they live in the world. They would still know what that stuff is. Like, why would they not know what spot? Or why is it funny that they would go to a spa? Like everybody goes to a spa. I don't know.
I mean, or no, it's funny because they're tough and they're supposed to be. Cut my nails with the
sets
fucking
it up.
saw.
Right. It's the juxtaposition between like I brought a big bag of drug money, and then like the other guy was like I brought these weapons that you can't track, and then he's like spa day. And they were all cool with it.
And the spa day thing goes on. He names like 10 things, and I can't remember. But they do the same joke again, where he's just being like hyper specific. And it's like they never shorten it either.
Yeah,
they're like they make a huge fucking meal out of it.
I would say the one thing that did work with it was when he was asked the last question. He says, "What do you think?" Like. I don't know.
Where they're like, does it come with this too?
I mean, the end of the joke was fine.
Yeah, because the pace,
whole all of them, like they redid the same bit over and over again with them being like, is facial included?
Yeah.
Do we get to go in the sauna? Are we getting a massage? Like from 4 different characters. Like you can do that once and get away with it, but like it's just.
I mean, this movie was killing time. The movie, and we'll get to this in late. Like the second half of this movie is filled with scenes that are just like. Why is this in the movie? This is going on so long and there's no actual jokes in this scene. Like, what the fuck is happening? There's so many, like, 5-minute scenes in this movie that are clearly there because they did not have enough content for a feature-length parody.
No, they didn't edit anything out.
No, they
did not edit a single...
It also felt like they shot stuff and added it back in. Like, all the scenes with the main bad guy and his sidekick, like, all their... they just felt like out of place.
They're like, well, we set up this car shot. Let's let them, like, improvise for a half hour. And then they just like put. Oh, I guess let's use most of this because we have time to film.
You sure you want to cut any? Don't want to cut any of this? No, the movie needs to be exactly 105 minutes.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, that's. I guess. Yeah, I might as well just go into it. I felt so bad for everybody. This movie was like. Yeah. It was so bad that I felt, but you know what I mean? Because they're just like they're all struggling actors.
They're all trying to get work.
Yeah, they're right. Like, I got this big lead role.
Yeah, right, and it's you know they didn't write the movie. It's it's greater than the sum of its parts. The badness of it,
and like everybody's trying really hard.
The thing I couldn't get out of my
it's such a funny thing to say about it. Everyone's trying really hard.
I mean, watch the bloopers. They're having fun, but boy, they're trying really
this
hard.
Is what I'm leading up to is the very
we can go into it.
We're going into it. Okay. The very last blooper shows the main like bad guy and his sidekick in the car. It's more and the main bad guy like gets himself to cry. And they like go with it and they make a joke out of it. And it is kind of funny, but he like legitimately is showing acting chops. And then he even like points to like, I'm doing this in a spoof movie to like prove I have to be good at acting. And I can't stop thinking about it because it just makes me feel like that's kind of funny and good on him for being able to do that. But also like, I hope something better comes along for you, sir.
I wonder if he likes working on independent films. I thought actually the blooper you were going to bring up was when he slaps the dude and he feels really apologetic because I think he just totally slaps him in the face.
Because he's getting into it. Yeah. He's showing like he really tried on it, and I honestly cannot fucking. I give him all the credit in the world.
I hated the main bad guy character, but I thought the actor was trying so hard to make it worth his time.
And he slapped the guy after his sidekick like broke character. So it was kind of like.
I think it was like a method thing. Like he was being mad in the scene, and so he was mad.
And he like apologized that he was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I just did that."
They had a laugh after.
Give this man an Oscar.
Okay, so I wrote, I'm 5 minutes in, and while this, by the way, we're only 5 minutes into this movie, and while this is bad, it's not as bad as I expected. And I do feel that way, because I feel like these guys' other movies, Epic Movie, Meet the Spartans, are like, way worse.
Plot wise, they kept it tight, and I know because I've seen bits and pieces of Epic Movie, and it's fucking all over the place.
It's references.
It's so hard to watch.
Pop culture references.
This was at least
I
focused.
haven't seen those, but like that's all I've seen in the trailers is just like, hey, remember Kendall Jenner this year or whatever?
Yes,
and they have a clip with a spoof of her.
Something Justin Bieber, and then it cuts to Justin Bieber, and he's like, and then he gets like hit in the head with a brick.
Yeah,
this movie
wrong sound.
At least was more focused. Yes, I would say. one of my favorite early jokes was it said, "What are you driving?
A car. I like that too.
And then but he ruined it by saying, "With a unicorn on it." Like, no
Yeah.
shit, we know that already.
Yeah.
Like, don't do this.
Yeah.
But that first
Well,
line
in case
was-
you didn't laugh the first time,
Yeah.
you got to laugh again.
That's the thing
At
is
just
like
the mere mention
they're
of it.
so close, and then they ruin the joke
Yes.
by like doubling down on it
or holding
so
assuming
often.
that the audience is stupid.
Yeah.
Yes,
Which,
it's a lot of that, which,
to be fair,
we are stupid.
I was dumb. Yes.
The Brian character can't shift, and he also has no gas in his car when he starts the race.
Mm-hmm.
Again, all good bits to do for a guy who's supposed to be like this great undercover agent. Like,
Well, okay. Can we talk about the Brian character because I fucking hated the like stoner situation that was
What do you
going on.
mean?
Yeah.
because that's not really how Paul Walker is in the Fast and the Furious like movies.
supposedly they were also trying to make fun of the guy from the third ones. They were trying to make fun of the main character from the Tokyo.
But
Drift
he
also.
wasn't.
He wasn't
was
like that either,
He was
though.
like a meathead guy,
Yes.
but he wasn't a stoner.
I'm in Tokyo.
Yeah, it was just so bad. I'm just like anyone can do that accent. I don't know why they would just.
Not anyone. You have to be very good and very funny to
Yeah,
do this.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't funny.
No.
I hated it. It really like it ruined a lot of the movie for me that was already ruined by a lot of other things, but I was just like, man, what was the decision behind this? What makes it like worth it to make him that
They just went with
dopey?
what's the easiest thing to do that makes sense in this time. So it's like 2015, stoners are funny, right? Like it was just like very little thought put into it.
They also do like a lot of the jokes about him is that he's like very white compared to these.
Yeah,
which is kind of true in like the series actually.
But I also feel like they point that out and they do like this is like hack stand up from like
Yes.
the aughts is like white people like mayonnaise,
Yeah.
especially if you're
Yeah.
a white guy, because then the reason they're doing that is because then they're now I have permission to say whatever I want about anybody else,
Yes.
and that's what this movie does.
also it's like, and I had that written down too, because at some point like you're doing that like, oh, we're being ironic by like making fun of only white people do this stuff, but it's like but you're actually being like still racist by saying like only white people do this kind of stuff, which is like super racist anyway, because you're saying that like non-white people doing that would be weird. It's like, what the fuck?
You're
like,
you're just reinforcing that like
Stereotypes,
different
yeah.
races do different things.
yes,
and,
which is like,
yep,
this.
not good.
Which, like, and honestly, to give Fast and the Furious credit, like, Fast and the Furious is, like, the only major blockbuster that legitimately does go out of its way to, like, to do, like, casting that's not just white people, right? Like, it is, like...
Well, but also in
It
that
is very
first Fast
diverse.
and the Furious movie, I think they're incredibly tone deaf with like there's like the Mexican gang, the black gang, the Asian gang, and they all face off in
Scott, that was a
something
long
they
time
literally
ago.
call it race wars.
Scott,
in
it
the
was
original.
2001.
You're right.
Okay?
You know what? They're fine. Actually, they're woke.
I'm not giving them a ton of credit, but
Yeah.
I'm saying that they at least tried with their casting to be more diverse. And this movie
Yeah.
made
Well,
fun
and
of
then
them.
as the movies continue, I'm sure they get better about it.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I haven't
kind
seen it.
of.
It's kind of like they shoehorn a lot of characters. Like Ludacris is the hacker, and like the newer ones, it's just like what the fuck.
comes out of nowhere.
He's
He's
just
just
like
suddenly
Too Fast, Too Furious. You had none of those skills.
And suddenly, you're the guy we
He
turned
went
to.
to community college and learned C+.
Yeah,
He is a great IT technician.
Yeah, they should make like a Hobbs and Shaw offshoot movie about that.
Dude, they would. If they thought it could make money, they would do that.
I liked when he lifted the hood of the car, and then they like did. He's got a really shiny red cap and
Oh,
like
yeah.
a bunch of tubes.
And a springy thing.
Because I feel that way when
Yes.
they do that in like the first movie. They don't really go into too many car details in like the later ones. They still do a little bit, but it's more like layman terms. Like it's got shocks and it can
Yeah.
handle.
NOS.
It can climb
We all
up
know
a
what
mountain.
NOS is.
They just like name cars though. They never really get into like like the whole thing that it's like car culture. It's like, but they barely do that in those movies. They just kind of like gloss over it just so they can like say it's car culture.
Yeah.
I've seen Fast and the Furious 1, and I forgot, I have seen Fast and the Furious 3. When I was in high school, I saw it, Tokyo
Yes.
Drift. And in the opening of that movie, there's a scene where he's still in America, and he does like a street race against like the mean high school jock. And when the mean high school jock has his girlfriend in the car, when they do the race,
Oh yeah. And
they're
die.
racing through like an abandoned suburb like cul-de-sac thing, and they go through and then the main character wins the race, and then we cut back to the mean high school jock's car, and his girlfriend is like, I thought you loved me, like implying that him losing the race was his way of showing her that. Anyways, so that's like a weird, but I think that's like kind of like a funny joke. Like I think when I was in high school, I was like, that's fucking stupid. But now I think I realize like they were being a little tongue in cheek with that shit.
Yeah.
This movie has like we see like the black guy before the race, and
win,
like
a
woman approaches him and she's scantily clad and she's a hot bikini babe and she's like, if you win you get me, and then if you lose you get her, and then wah wah it cuts over to a woman that
she was like slightly overweight.
She's like
they had to draw black on her tooth, and she wasn't that bad.
Just like they gave her stupid makeup.
Yeah. Oh my god, I was like.
But anyway, so my note is just that this movie does like sort of the same joke, but it's just like the fucking stupid bad version of like the zaniness of this movie. Yeah, it's almost like you're parodying something that's already self-aware,
right? But
and making fun of itself a little bit, or is like a little bit. At the very least, these movies are campy.
Yes,
and so you can't make fun of something that's like already self-aware without just doing like a bad dumb version of it. You know what I mean?
I think you can, but you have to at least do it like you're saying. Like you have to do a better version of what that movie. Like if that movie was doing like kind of a tongue-in-cheek campy joke, you have to at least improve on that for your joke version of that.
Right.
Like, you have to at least come up with something that's not like from 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Like
it's like let's do a parody of Who's on First, and it's just me punching you in the balls. Like
now that sounds funny. And then they do, so after the whole race is done, the police show up, we arrest our main character.
The tasing robot was so stupid.
Thank you.
I hated it.
Oh, that was...
We could talk
I was
about
like,
this.
this is what happened. This is, I swear to God, I can't imagine them writing that down. They just thought it was funny, like, while they were filming it. Like, start doing the robot.
Right,
while
imagine,
you're
like,
being
improving
tased.
that and then being like, this is so good, we need to put it in.
Oh, my fuck.
In 2015,
I'm so mad.
They did a robot dance reference. They did the guy gets tased into doing the robot, and that's the joke.
If it looked realer, it would almost be better, but like it just looked so. I mean, like this does not lead to this.
It was
Or
also lazy.
If the cops didn't comment on it, and like it was just like, is he doing the robot? And then the cop was like, "Look at this guy, he's doing the robot," and like they just like yell.
It's like a Judd Apatow movie.
Oh
it's
my
great.
God,
Oh my god,
I hated it.
No, that I think was legitimately that was when I was like, oh, this is going to get really bad from here on out. Like the beginning was like, it was like a lot of bad jokes, some good jokes. I was like, this might be tolerable to watch. This taser thing was like,
no, it was that,
beginning.
and then the fucking white people jokes montage was right after it.
Yeah, back to back whiffs.
It was rough. Oh, I wanted to say before we get too far into the movie, this movie was released at the same time as Furious 7 in an attempt to, I don't know, like trick people into going to see it. Like it was released at the same time.
I mean, they were changing the names on the Fast and the Furious movies, which I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
Well, I'm neutral on it.
No, I mean this movie was
it's complicated.
called Superfast. Like they clearly was trying to take advantage. They were hoping to take advantage of people,
Because Scott, let me give you a rundown of the history of the Fast and the Furious titles. Okay. The Fast and the Furious.
Yes.
Too Fast, Too Furious. Fast and the Furious 3, Tokyo Drift. What was 4 called? Was that one just called Fast and Furious?
I believe it was called The Fast or Fast
it was called
and Furious.
Fast and Furious.
Yes.
They dropped the
They dropped the
Yeah.
It's cleaner.
They're
It's
trying
like,
to cut out some
Justin Timberlake came in and told them.
5 is Fast 5.
Yes.
6, what the fuck is 6?
I think it's just called 6.
No, it's called.
It was like Furious 6, maybe? No, because I thought it was like Furious 8. These
No,
are
it's Furious 7 and then Fate of the Furious.
Yeah.
This episode is going to be 2 hours long.
F8. Well, I mean, I like the Fast and the Furious.
It's called
They're
just Fast.
funny.
Also, Furious 6 or Fast 6. What?
Or
I thought it was Fast 5.
That's 2 different titles?
It said two
Yeah.
different titles.
It depends on different theaters had different ones, and there's different edits.
Okay.
In one edit, they're more fast, and the other edit, they're more furious.
And then 9 is called Hobbs and Shaw.
Yes. And then the 10th one will be called Vin and who else is in it now? Tyrese? It's Vin and Tyrese.
I guess, yeah.
Because The Rock's out of those
And
ones.
and Han's coming back as a zombie. It's happening. I'm calling it now.
I wrote, oh, hilarious. Funny chalk outlines. Gee, I wonder who wrote that joke in Scary Movie that I hated so much.
Seltzer.
Yeah, Friedberg and Seltzer, baby. I want to have you guys on the podcast because I have to talk to you and ask why.
You know they're listening, so let's address them.
I'm
Hey,
sure
guys.
they're looking up who's reviewing Superfast.
Hey, fellas.
They're just sending us anthrax in the mail.
Oh, my God.
Marty's
Marty's address is 12
12 Boogie Woogie Avenue.
Marty, edit point here.
Actually, I think I've hit most of my major notes, which is great because
Yeah.
the second half.
I always write all my notes in the first third of the movie and then just watch all right, I fucking get it. Please be over soon.
In this movie, especially though, the first half is when they're really driving home the Fast and the Furious jokes, and then they just chill so long.
Can I just say, after the first half of the movie, I was like, is it almost over? And then I looked at the time and I was like, there's another half left. And it was the worst.
Yes.
I was very disappointed.
Okay,
here's
a bit I just remembered towards the end of the movie. There's the model, right? Okay, well, they go through the thing of this isn't all Fast and the Furious, but we have to have a cool Asian guy. It's just racism, and then misogyny for the model.
Yes.
But the model, her contribution to the heist is they're racing along, and then a bad guy pulls up to the side of them. She takes out a wooden case,
Yes.
which contains two
Implants.
breast implants, and then she throws one at the bad guy and it explodes like a yucky water balloon.
Yeah.
Why would she have those?
Or
because
why-
she's a model, but they're not
Why would she have them in?
Why does she? Yeah, what?
Why
you
wouldn't
know what?
she-
It would
If
be
she
like
was a doctor.
Let's rewrite this, guys. Wouldn't you do the joke that she pulls her breast implant from her breast and throws it at the guy?
Yeah.
That's much better.
I'm not even kidding. That is much.
What else happened was they said, take him out. And I was like, oh, okay. So they're going to pull up next to the cop car and then get his number and go on a date with him. And that's how they get him away from the chase scene.
Yeah.
And then they did that bit instead. And I was like, oh.
Yeah,
done
what?
something
It just
a little
it,
more
it literally
adorable.
even if it made sense, it would be horrible. But it
Yes.
makes no fucking
Yes.
sense.
I also had did IHOP pay this movie?
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of plugging IHOP
Maybe.
in this movie. A lot of characters talking about how much they love IHOP.
Well, again, gangsters being very specific about mundane, everyday things. Super funny.
Apparently.
Yeah. Can we get bacon at IHOP? Can we get sausage?
Why, yes,
this
you
is
can.
a joke.
It's $2.59 on Sundays.
Also, another joke they did in this universe, every time somebody gets hit in the stomach, they're farting.
Yeah.
So at the end of the movie, they do, if you know the plot of Fast and the Furious, it's the same thing. The cops show up to arrest Vin Diesel. They reveal that Brian is an undercover cop. And the joke they do is that Brian handcuffs The Rock to the back of a car. And he's like, you're going to turn down being a cop? You're going to turn down $32,000 every year and all these really bad benefits? That's a good joke.
Mm-hmm.
That was a funny joke. A good joke based on the plot of Fast and the Furious. Why would he stay a cop? He's like, no, I get to be a cool heist man. I get to marry this hot lady.
It's almost like cops do it just for
power?
other reasons.
He handcuffs The Rock to the car, and The Rock is just out of reach of his baby oil.
Mm-hmm.
Problem with this, he could have used his foot to grab it.
Yeah.
I had a small
Come on,
issue.
think.
Small
Think.
issue. I mean, he was
Think,
dumb.
writers of this
he was
movie.
a dumb
This is where you lost me.
This is, I was almost to the end, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
now I'm done.
Yeah.
And I'm turning it off, and I'm going on our tomatoes, and I'm giving it a
it the
thumbs
one
These
down.
guys are finally getting the rating they want
giving
so
it a
bad.
rotten.
Yeah.
They've been waiting for it. Okay, I'm going to get to the review because I looked at our time and we're going pretty long. So
Yeah, it's fine.
Hey, we went
Welcome to our
short
hour-long Fast
9 weeks ago.
It's your fault for making us watch 2 dang movies.
I do agree.
Yeah.
This is a packed in episode.
I told this was going to be a spicy one.
Yeah,
There's
I
no
know.
way around it.
No.
Yeah.
I have 0 out of 10 as a movie and a 1 out of 10 as a spoof because there are a few good jokes in this movie.
Wow.
But
Wow.
again, it's
I think that's way too
This is
rough,
shocking.
especially for how
Yeah.
you were talking
See, Marty
about
jumps
some
to the
parts of it
fucking
was
polls.
fun.
Marty
You
will
gave
never
it
give
less
like
than
a
American
middling review.
Carol.
I just did for Little Train Robbery. I said it was a 5 out of 10.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, that was a short film.
I think it's just that there are good jokes, but it's like you guys said, every 10th
They
joke
ruin
is
their own
good.
good jokes.
Exactly. And even when they are good jokes, they just undercut it with some other terrible joke, so it just makes me feel bad for a while. I just felt bad watching this movie, so as a parody, it
Give him a good score.
it makes fun of Fast and the Furious, but no, it's too buried beneath nothing happening. Clearly, they were stretching for time. Like this should have been like This should have been like a Funny or Die sketch. Like honestly, like
Yeah.
it does not
Yeah.
deserve to be a feature-length film.
This should
Okay.
have been. Never mind.
I think the lesson with parody movies, like when they are good, it's that you have a good movie where you add parody jokes to the movie.
You have a movie that's taking itself seriously, and then it's only funny
Subvert
if
that.
you're right. It's only funny if the movie takes itself really seriously.
which we will get to that next week's episode.
Yeah. If the movie already gets that it's a joke, then you can't do a parody.
There's something funny about that. It's just sitting there being like told that something funny is happening, and I can't give it a good review. Yeah.
Or it's really what this is. I can't as much as I want
refuse.
to. Yeah. A man of principles.
You know,
Wow.
as one of the hosts of this podcast.
What a hero.
I know. I'm taking one for the team with my reviews.
Just all this, it's not even really a parody of Fast and the Furious. It's reskins of old jokes. It's modern references. It's a Family Guy episode. Like,
Yeah.
No, that's a great comparison.
it's references oh Jesus. It's modern day references laid over like fucking like Three Stooges jokes set to the plot of the Fast and the Furious.
I think that's a good comparison, but I would also say not
so.
the Three Stooges
With that in
jokes.
mind, as a parody, I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 10 just because it follows the plot of Fast and the Furious very closely.
It does.
And to that, I will give them credit. If you watched Fast and the Furious 1 and you're like, I know this movie beat by beat and I need to see it lampooned, I got the movie for you. And then as a movie, 0 out of 10, not enjoyable.
Nah, they
in
didn't
the
do
slightest.
Race Wars. But anyways,
They also Race War is such an easy thing to make fun of. Why
it'd be
not
so
do that?
funny.
It's so easy to make fun of.
I'd give it like a 3 out of 10 as a spoof because I like certain bits of it for like them lampooning Fast and the Furious. But yeah, it was just a lot of like bad, like sitting through bad moments waiting for a good one to come sucks. Yeah. And then like a 2 out of 10 as a movie.
It's like my life, sitting through bad moments waiting for a good one to come.
Oh, dude, so true.
You're telling me. So I have a question for one of you. And
Scott, it's for Scott.
Scott, do you have a novelty song to play us this week?
I certainly do. I have a novelty song?
One novelty song?
All right. This week, we're going to talk about a little tune entitled Cars by a little fella named Gary Numan. He's a Brit.
Is he?
The song came out in 1979 off of his album, The Pleasure Principle. Gary Numan was the front man of this little British band called Tubeway Army. And they had a hit in the UK with a song called Our Friends Electric. And, it's new wave, it's avant-garde, drum machines, synths and stuff. You get it. Anyways, after that chart success, he breaks off onto a solo career and has a big hit with the song Cars. And he wrote the song with chart success in mind. He wrote it to be poppy and catchy on purpose. So Numan told Mojo Magazine in 2008 about the inspiration for the song. What's the lyrical content?
I appreciate the sources, by the way. It's very
Oh
nice.
yeah, absolutely. Of course, I would credit every source I have. If I don't credit the source, it's Wikipedia.
We're journalists.
Who I donated to this week, and you should too.
Good job, Scott.
So this is what Numan said about the inspiration for the song. A couple of blokes started peering in the window, and for whatever reason, they took a disliking to me, they did. So I had to take evasive action, and I swerved up the pavement, scattering pedestrians everywhere. I did. After that, I began to see the car as a modern tank of society.
Oh, wow. He changed dialects halfway.
I've joined the Beatles.
Almost like you should have done one you can actually do the whole time.
What? There was one consistent accent. He has multiple personality disorder, but all the personalities
One's
are
from Liverpool.
One's from Canterbury.
Yeah.
Citation needed.
So anyway, it's about how cars isolate us. Which, if you look at the lyric, I can read the lyrics real quick.
Here in my car.
Because here's what Kelly?
I feel safest of all. You go next. Well, Popcorn read this one because I don't know the rest.
I can, Kelly,
I don't know the Scott,
Kelly, that's
Marty.
Weird songs.
Lock, Kelly.
I don't wanna.
Okay, because what I'm saying, people keep like crediting that. Oh, this song is genius. It's about how technology is isolating us way ahead of the internet boom. If you hear the lyrics, I think they're a lot more vague, and people are like accrediting way more meaning than there is. So, here in my car, I feel safest of all. I can lock all my doors. It's the only way to live in cars. Here in my car, I can only receive. I can listen to you. It keeps me stable for days. In
My
cars.
car.
Close.
Here in my car, where the image breaks down, will you visit me, please, if I open my door in cars? Here in my car, I know I've started to think about leaving tonight, although nothing seems right in cars. Half the lyrics just meaningless, right? Like he's not, this is about society, darling. No.
It's like he thought of that as like a hook to write a song, but clearly didn't have much
100%,
to say.
and there's nothing wrong with that, because here's the thing, this song is fucking catchy.
It's a banger.
Yes.
So he wrote it. He also said, I don't know if I'm going to read the whole quote.
No, you're not.
Basically, he wrote this. He had only written. This was the first song he ever wrote on a guitar, on a stringed instrument. He was
There's a lot of
primarily
synth in it,
synthman.
though. Yeah.
Right. But he came up with the iconic, bass line. And this song is ingeniously simplistic. There's really only two parts. You're right. He used Moog synthesizers, or Moog, if you're a piece of shit and have to pronounce things right. He used the mini Moog, augmenting the song's recognizable bass riff, the na 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 na. So that's bass and mini Moog, and then the poly Moog, which is doing the weird strings over. So there's pretty much the na 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 section, and then the ba ba na 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 na.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the whole song. So I guess with that in mind, let's get a little taste of Cars. Cue music. Marty, edit point here.
Here in my car, I feel safest of all. I can lock all my doors. It's the only way to live in cars. Here in my car, I can only receive. I can listen.
He is considered like a pioneer of synth music. He's considered like one of the most important synth musicians.
On the Mount Rushmore
Okay, who's your Mount Rushmore of synth music?
Ooh, I want.
of synth music.
Kelly,
What's the genre? New wave.
Yeah, new wave.
Okay, I'm gonna say Gary Numan.
Okay.
Talking Heads.
Yep.
Yeah, David Byrne.
You can put all the talking heads on.
No, that's way too. It's Mount Rushmore. You got to pick 4.
Mort Garson was one of an early. It's gonna kill Raymond. Raymond something.
Bradbury. Who's the guy who invented the Moog? Isn't that like a famous musician also?
Raymond. I don't know.
Yeah, it was Beethoven von Moog.
Yeah,
made it up
I don't
himself.
know.
Kelly, do you have additions to the Mount Rushmore?
I would just put one of the guys from Devo on it.
Absolutely. Devo, 100%.
Just, I don't know any of their names, but I mean, the red hat's iconic.
There's Dan, Eric, Victor, and
Lance,
Oscar.
Justin.
Yeah.
This is good stuff, guys.
Anyways, write us another riddle, Marty.
Fuck you.
Oh, we want to talk about the riddles on my con?
Cry me a riddle.
Ooh.
There you go.
That's
All
one for
right, a
next
couple pieces of trivia. The band appears in the music video because after he broke solo, he assembled a backing band after he had recorded Cars. So the band appears in the music video playing along with them, even though they didn't record.
Did he pay them a living wage?
$15 an hour.
Okay, good for him. That was a lot.
15
back
pounds, darling. 15
Well, his
15
pounds,
quid,
the
baby.
pound wasn't very strong back then.
At that time, that's like $1,000 an hour right
Yeah.
now.
So true. Inflation.
You could pay for college just doing that first summer.
And we did, babe.
Austin Powers? What are you doing
No.
here?
What?
Oh, my bad.
That's a completely
That was
different
clearly
accent.
Gary Numan.
Oh, okay.
This music video, part of what helped it become a hit was that when MTV launched in 1981, they only had 200 music videos in their catalog,
this
and this
song?
was one of them.
201.
So even though it came out 2 years back, it got played over and over on MTV, and so that's how it got so
Kind of
much
broke in America.
success. So I guess there's one last piece of business, isn't there?
Oh, what is it, Scott?
Would anyone care to guess?
Number 1.
Wrong.
I'm going to guess 9.
Marty. It was number 8. You're so close.
So good.
It was number 1 in the UK, but in America, it only peaked at
Because it
number
is
'cause
whenever
we're close-minded.
Well, it's harder for when British musicians have like hits in America. I feel like they almost never are like number 1 hits. Like it's really hard for non-American musicians. I feel like to top the Billboard charts.
We're too stupid with our fast food, baby.
It's because Taylor Swift is just taking up the
Oh,
charts.
artist of the decade.
Yes, number 1 on my Spotify.
Eat shit, Scooter Braun.
Okay. I feel like this song walks the line between like novelty and not novelty song, though. No?
I think because it's a song that's so.
Well, can I stop you for a second?
Yes.
Kelly, fuck you.
Kelly, I will say.
I just want to
I don't know.
Okay, we're already like
All right,
40 minutes
Poindexter.
over what we usually do for an episode. Might as well just go double down on it.
we're not.
Let's get into it.
I would say it is a novelty because it's so specific. Like it's like if you make a song that's called like the hot dog song and it's like a serious ballad rock song, but it's all about hot dogs. It's like that would be a novelty song because you're being really. I know that you
This is
hate
a
that.
weird example.
But my point is like he's singing about cars and it's like a bizarre version of like a normal pop song sort
yeah,
of.
like
Yeah,
when Miley
it's
Cyrus
weird.
spends
Yeah.
a whole song singing about wrecking balls.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah. She's singing "You Came In Like a Wrecking
just
Ball"
kidding.
because she's singing to a wrecking ball.
Yeah.
But it's like not a metaphor though, right? Like wrecking ball is like a metaphor. This song does not feel like a metaphor as much, you know?
Yeah, here's
I
why.
feel like that's a thin argument. but-
Technically, it's a one-hit wonder. If
Yeah.
you
I
want
would
to be an
say
asshole
that's-
about it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm not like
said-
mad about it because I always want. Now I can bring one hit wonders, and you guys can scrutinize me.
Wait, but it just still depends. Like this is still like
Are we having an episode of the podcast all talking about something?
What do you mean?
Are we?
What?
I'm confused what you mean by
Yeah.
that. That was odd.
I'm
phrasing.
saying just like, why split hairs? We're doing what we came
Oh,
here to do.
of course.
Yeah.
But we also splitting hairs is
I don't think we should release this episode.
We're doing what we came
Since
here
it's
to
technically
do.
not a novelty
We're here
song.
to talk
I don't
about
know
a
if
novelty
it would be.
song.
We can't confuse
I'm
that.
just
We're going to be so
saying.
off message if we release
I don't think
this.
it's a big deal, but I just wanted to bring it up. It walks the line. What's wrong with that?
You know who else walked the line? Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
Well, Boy Named Sue was like for me a little bit walking the line. I don't know.
I would agree
it's
with
a
that.
complicated subject.
I think Boy Named Sue is
discuss
more
this
of a novelty
off
song
my-
than this
No,
one.
I think it's.
honestly.
I
I
think
would
it's
agree.
not. But I think they both count. I think they both count, and because like we're gonna run out of songs if we don't.
It's
Oh, yeah, it's tough. I'm
2019
already-
novelty songs. It's a
They're
it's a
falling
spectrum.
off.
It's a sliding scale.
I would say it's just like anything that's not like jazz, rock, country, blues. You know, something that's like it's a little hard to pinpoint what genre you would call it as. It's kind of its own song. Like if it's its own thing, that makes it novelty.
I disagree.
It depends.
Grandma
obviously-
Got Run Over by a Reindeer is a country song, but the lyrical content is what makes it
right. I love it.
a novelty song.
All right, we'll discuss this more later.
Yeah.
I think what makes it a novelty song is you take a song that you would need and then you just change it by one thing. Like it's you take a song and then you print a picture of Mickey Mouse on it.
Yeah.
I was going to bring that up, but I let it go.
Speaking of,
Yes.
this is
Marty.
a wonderful segue. Marty, do you have a novelty product for us?
Guys, I do have one. Let me get it out of my special bag here.
I'm nervous.
Suspense.
Are you nervous? I'm nervous.
I'm so nervous.
I'm so nervous.
I'm so if the
That's right. I have brought it's a fail button. It's a button you push and it makes the womp womp sound.
I'm so happy I don't have to get mad.
Yeah,
My
me
blood
too.
pressure.
I was
is,
nervous.
My doctor told me I have to stop podcasting. That's bad for my health.
You get mad. So all I want to say to that, Scott, is
We need to keep this around for all of
Okay.
your future novelty products. And can we edit this
So
into all
good
the
on
previous
audio.
episodes?
Absolutely.
It's a button that you press and it makes that noise.
Yes.
Is that the
Yeah.
only noise it makes?
that is the only noise it makes. So
Can I hack it to make a better noise?
You can
want
slow
to.
it down. You can chop and screw it.
I went to community college and now I know C+, so it's going down.
If you turn it down by 3 octaves, it becomes dubstep.
So this sound effect was created originally using a muted trombone to create the
You don't say.
woe is me kind of like ironic, sarcastic joke.
The notes go in a downward
Yes.
direction.
Is it in a minor key?
I don't think it's in a key. I
a
don't think
key.
it's enough notes to establish a key.
I
Come
think
on,
it's-
let's find out.
That's 4 notes.
I think it's major, actually.
it does
So
sound
I could
major.
hear a chord to resolve it at the end that would
Yeah.
be major.
This became kind of iconic after being used in the Saturday Night Live sketch, the Debbie Downer sketch, where they would play the womp womp sound when the character Debbie Downer would say something purposely sad.
Well, to be fair though, they do a different. They do a different womp womp for every line.
That's true.
'Cause sometimes it's a big womp womp, and then sometimes
They
to
do
be
it.
funny, they do a little tiny.
You'd be
womp
surprised, but for that bit, they do it live. They do
Yeah.
on Saturday Night Live. They do that.
womp. Imagine being the trombone player if they didn't do it live. You'd be so pissed off.
I'd be pissed.
The term womp womp is also in the dictionary, and everybody knows this sound effect as womp womp, and is used as just like a thing to say to people on the internet when you're being like, "Oh, you're crying, womp
Yeah.
womp."
Sorry, liberals.
So yes, that was my novelty product for the week. Is a little fail button making the womp womp sound. Guys.
Great.
That's
Good
great.
job, Marty.
Hand it over. It's
Yes.
time for the review.
Okay, time to review it.
Time to review it. Whoa. It's a
was
little
an accident.
sensitive.
Yeah, that was my review. Let's see. Now,
I don't want to know.
Oh, I also want to
I
say
don't want details.
I got this from my parents when I asked my mom.
just one small detail.
Okay, fine.
It's
I noticed you've modified it in a way. Can you explain? I'm noticing a clear substance on the
So
back here.
I got this from my parents on Thanksgiving, and I said, "Do you have any like dumb joke product type stuff?" And she said,
They pointed at you.
I got him. Yo, Marty, you're the dumb joke product.
They produced you.
"I should
technically.
bring myself."
I think
some
the
week."
worst part about it isn't that
You do every week,
it's not
baby.
that you're dumb. It's not that you're a joke, but it's that your parents consider you to be a product.
We made this thing. We don't know what to do with it. It's a novelty. It's like your brother, but just
like a take on my brother. Oh my god! Aren't we all novelty products of our parents?
it's too true. We're all parodies of our parents, basically.
Oh, that's really good, actually.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm deep.
they
too deep for
my
me.
mom said, "Please take this fail button thing because my nephews, and nieces, whenever they visit my parents, they find that button and they push it so many times." So my mom was like, "Get this out of my house, please," so the kids
Well, let
stop
me
using
see
it.
it.
Can I just get one clean one right up next to the
Yeah, of
mic?
course,
Because I feel
please.
like it's been distant. Let's get a really solid one. Here we go.
I'll turn it up in post also.
Thank you. Crank it.
Just suddenly the podcast gets like really loud.
Okay, so you didn't put the scotch tape on it. Your mom did.
My mom did to keep the battery cover on. Yes.
Well, what? What's she's mad about the kids using it, but then
But she's like, this
fixes
thing
it.
has to be working.
She wants the kids. She wants the kids to have a good time with the things, and
She loves her.
yeah, she loves.
Deb.
But they're annoying.
Deb, you're too nice. You gotta let the battery fall out and be like, "Sorry,
I don't
you
know
broke
what
it."
it is, yeah.
There's nothing that could stick
no
this back
recourse.
together.
It's a double A and a half. I don't know where we're gonna get these.
Nope.
Yeah, the kids
They
are
don't
like
make those
double
anymore.
A's.
Sorry, kids.
So yeah, that's it for it, and I think that's it for the podcast this week, gentlemen.
Yeah, I guess we're done recording now.
Thanks for listening.
We
really appreciate it.